What's up, everybody? This is Dan Thompson from AroundTheAssociation.com, and this is the Around the Association podcast. And this podcast is dedicated to the day Orlando worked out Trae Young. For those who were in a box or hadn't followed social media or just coming into the show for the very first time, Trae Young worked out for the Orlando Magic today. And so this is my take on what I had a chance to see and observe today in Orlando with Trae Young in his workout. So before I go into it, let me give you a disclaimer. With like in the last podcast with Kevin Knox I did on Tuesday, when players work out for teams, the media doesn't get to see the actual workout themselves. These workouts are basically behind closed doors because, of course, we don't want they don't want pictures getting out or certain things getting out about X, Y, and Z about the player. So when members of the media go into there, it's normally at the end of the workout. The guys, whoever's working out is normally just getting themselves cooled down, and then they come over and talk to us for a few minutes, and then everything is over and done with, and everybody goes home at that point. So what I'm going to go over is what Trae Young and my impression of Trae Young when I saw him today, and how this fits in Orlando, and how I see him fitting in the NBA. So Trae Young did work out for Orlando today. It was a private workout, so he was the only person working out for the Magic today. Unlike Kevin Knox's workout on Tuesday, where they had multiple players, including Landry Shamet, among other players working out, Theo Pinson. It wasn't a multiplayer workout. So Trae Young was here, like I say, posted on social media, especially Instagram and Snapchat, especially Snapchat, not Instagram, Snapchat, about his time in Orlando. He had dinner with the front office staff on Wednesday, so it's Thursday. So he had dinner with Weltman and John Hammond on Wednesday night. He said dinner went really well. They explained the vision of what the Magic are intended to do, and in talking to Trae, he had a lot of interesting things to say. Number one, my impression of Trae, on the first thing I thought about this kid after listening to him talk and even answering the question I asked about Kemba Walker, which I'll get to in a second, is that Trae has a quiet confidence about him. You listened to DeAndre Ayton yesterday talk about on Wednesday and during his workout with Phoenix, saying he deserves to be the number one overall pick. That's the confidence of a guy who's the top overall player of the draft. What stood out to me about Trae Young is that Trae Young is not about stats. He's not about this, that, and the third, about individual. He wants to win. His main job is he just wants to win, whether it be scoring, whether it be passing the ball, whether it be making plays. He just wants to win. And you can look at him and see this kid really truly wants to win. One of the major differences I did see in Trae is that if you look at him at the beginning of the season compared to now, he has put on some muscle and he has a lot more definition than he did in the very beginning. It looks like he probably put on about maybe 10 to 12 pounds, and it's all looking like muscle. So when the Steph Curry comparisons about when Curry came in the league and Trae Young came in the league, Curry didn't have like the NBA type of build in the very beginning. Trae Young has a very good start to the build of his body already in the NBA. Now, one of the questions he even has answered himself is that he said, people know about the pick and roll defense and how is he going to play against that. He says and he's a lot better defender than people give him credit for. And I think he has the ability to want to be good, want to be an okay defender. And in Orlando's case, since I'm down here, I'll speak from the Magic's perspective. They have a head coach in Steve Clifford that preaches defense. Clifford's teams have always been some of the best defensive teams in the NBA over his tenure in Charlotte. No matter what players they had, they always played very, very solid defense. And if you look at the Magic roster right now, as we're recording this podcast, they have some good defenders. I mean, even though Vucevic is not exactly the best rim protector, when they have Kem Birch in the game, they have Biyombo, they have a very, very solid back line. Jonathan Isaac, as I've mentioned before many of times, is one of the best, going to be one of the very elite defenders in the league very soon. He's already a very good defender right now, and he hasn't really shown how good he's going to be, but he's very long and very active. He uses his hands, he blocks shots, he does a lot of different things. He's going to be an extremely versatile defender for Steve Clifford. You look at Jonathan Simmons, who's the team's best on-ball defender from the guard position, so he can guard anybody. And then when you have Terrence Ross in the game, Ross can defend as well too when Simmons is out of the game. Don't forget when Evan Fournier is in the game, Fournier is an okay defender, but the other player is Aaron Gordon. When Gordon's in the lineup, Gordon can defend as well too. He's not exactly on the elite level, but he's better than you give him credit for. So the Magic will have guys beyond Trae Young that can help with the switches, help with the pick and rolls. So I don't think he'll be too behind in the very beginning. Now we all know Trae Young is the best shooter in the draft, and he has the capability of up there with Michael Porter to be the best pure offensive player in this draft. Bagley's very good on the post, and he has range out there. But Trae Young can change the game because of his dynamic shooting. Now, how's that going to fit in Orlando? When I asked him, the main question was, my question for him today was, about Steve Clifford and the role and he did with what he did with Kemba Walker. And for me, that's the better comparison at this very point. If he's a Steve Clifford system, expect him to be more Kemba Walker than Steph Curry. That's still not bad. Walker's been an all-star 2 of the last 3 years. And that's what Magic fans want. They want an all-star in the backcourt. They want a star player. And I think Trae Young, if he's in the system here, because you look at what Orlando does, what Charlotte did, a lot of pick and rolls with Kemba Walker and a big, Dwight Howard, or they use Cody Zeller in the early parts of the year. Even going back to his first couple years, we had Al Jefferson, the pick and rolls what Kemba Walker specialized in. And Trae Young, if he's coming off the pick and roll, especially if he can maneuver a little bit more with that left hand, and he can start showing a little bit more strength with that left hand, he's going to be deadly in the pick and roll, because guess what? If you have a solid role guy, if they can find a solid role guy at the big position, Kem Birch is very solid because he has good hands. For a big guy, or Vucevic, if he's still, Vucevic in that situation, you have a good guy who can get to the basket and walk, and Young can really come off screens and he can knock the shot down. I would love to see Trae Young in the open court, because Trae Young has very good court vision. Remember, he led the country in assists this year. So it's not like he can't get the ball to certain players, and Oklahoma didn't have the best talent level in the country, and Trae Young still averaged, led the country in assists. Just imagine if a lot of those players hit shots around him, he probably would have averaged about 13, 14 assists a game. He had a whole bunch of double-digit assist games. I think he has enough vision to get it done. Yes, he had high turnovers, but what point guard that gives you 9, 10 assists a game doesn't have a high turnover number? It can be decreased a little bit, but it's more of, I think that it's going to be a lot better because he's going to have better players with hands and better players around him than he had at Oklahoma. So listening to Trae answer a lot of the questions, he is a kid that's very confident. He knows how to answer the questions very well, and he comes off as a very, very confident kid. It's not cocky. It's very confident. The one thing he preaches is that he just wants to win, and he's willing to do what it takes to win, whether it's come off the bench, whether do what he has to. He just wants to win. Now, in Orlando's thing, and one of the things I did see after the workout, I saw him speak with Steve Clifford. They were speaking right around the free throw line. They had to, they were going back and forth. You could listen. You could see Trae really listening to Steve, and what Steve had to say. Like I said, Jeff Weltman and John Hamm were there, and then afterwards, we saw Trae chit chatting it up with Jonathan Isaac and Terrence Ross. And just remember, fans, players on the roster cannot work out with potential draft picks. So even though Terrence Ross said on Instagram, I'm going to be there, they didn't work Terrence Ross out with Trae Young. It was kind of funny. You did see, if you watched his Snapchat today, I think, or his Snapchat or Instagram, he did have a video or a picture up of Terrence Ross after the workout today. It looks like there was a lot of chemistry being built. Remember, Jonathan Isaac and Trae Young around the same age. They probably ran each other in the circles of AAU, just like Kevin Knox and J.I. played on the exact same AAU team down here in Florida. Remember, Knox is from Tampa. Jonathan's from Naples. They know each other because they play in the same AAU team. They have a very strong familiarity. And Jonathan is one of the more popular players and have a lot of common guys with some of the young players that are in the league right now and some of the ones coming into the league. That's just the old saying, each one teach one. These guys all look out for each other, and there's a very, very strong brotherhood and communion and unity between the younger guys in these last couple of years. So you can see that there was chemistry there between those guys there. Now, am I going to sit here and say the Magic are going to take Trae Young at this very point in time? It's still up in the air. And why I say it's up in the air, Trae did work out for the Knicks, and the Knicks are very high on him. But now the Knicks are picking behind Orlando, and he still has a workout in Chicago. Chicago's picking behind Orlando. So what does it make it the pick? Trae Young still has to work out in Atlanta as well, too. Atlanta's picking at 3. If Trae Young is taken by the Hawks, for example, at 3, that changes the entire complexion of the draft, because the Magic could end up with one of 3 guys if Trae Young does go 3. Now, what 3 guys could that be? Well, it could be 4 guys. Because really, if the Kings take Doncic at 2 and the Hawks take Trae Young, That's going to leave on the board Marvin Bagley Jr., Jaren Jackson, and Mohamed Bamba right there and Wendell Carter in the hands of the Magic. One of those guys are going to slip. Now, if Doncic isn't taken by the Kings, let's say they go Bagley, Doncic now falls in that Magic range of that area. I mean, I think Doncic would probably go to Memphis, which would leave Bamba, Carter, and Jackson in the hands of the Magic. And if you add a guy like Bamba, who is a complete, a long human being that is very defensive-minded and blocks a lot of shots, that's going to solve a lot of problems for the Magic as well, too. Remember, John Hammond did go on radio early in the week saying the number one priority is point guard. Now, the Magic have worked out point guards. Like I said, Landry Shamet is one of the point guards they did work out on Tuesday. I'm sure they're going to bring in other point guards. So I do not know who they're bringing in. So I will answer that question right now. I do not know who they have further workouts for. All I do know is Wendell Carter did say he is going to work out in Orlando. I just don't know when. I'm sure the Magic are going to work out other guys. They have, like I said, 2 second-round picks as well, too, in the draft. So I'm sure they'll be working on guys for the second round because there's a good chance that those guys end up in Lakeland. And Lakeland was a very, very good breeding ground for the Magic this season. Remember, they spent a lot of time with Ken Burch down there. They had Rodney Purvis down there. Jamel Artis was down there. So, the Magic's Weston Wendell was down there for a little bit, too. The Magic's main 3 guys, the main 4 guys down there in Lakeland helped the Magic down the stretch, but at the same time, they also carried Lakeland to the playoffs at the same time, too. So you have to really say they have the good thing now with the G League having their own teams, each team having their own G League team, is that you can take these second-round picks and not have to worry about drafting European guys and stashing them overseas. You actually can take guys that you can develop and put in your system, and that's what Adam Silver's been trying to do with the G League. It's a very, very solid fit. But let's go back to Trae Young and what he can do in the league. To me, the best fits for Trae Young in the top, I'd say the top 10. Well, let's look at the top 10 going in order. Phoenix, he's not going to go there because it's best between Ayton and Doncic. He would fit in Phoenix, but it wouldn't be very good defensively because Devin Booker doesn't really play defense that well. So, but can you imagine Devin Booker and Trae Young in that backcourt just lighting people up? That would just be, it'd be something to stay up on nights for League Pass, that's for sure. All right, so he'd be a good fit in Phoenix, but we know Doncic and Ayton are going to win in that situation. Is he a good fit in Sacramento? They have De'Aaron Fox. Fox was one of the best rookies, the most underrated rookies in the entire class, and also one of the most clutch rookies as well, too. Look at his shot percentages in the fourth quarter. De'Aaron Fox got it done. Now, mind you, the Kings didn't win that many games, but when the opportunity came about, De'Aaron Fox put in work. 3 is Atlanta. Atlanta's the wild card. If for some strange reason that, not strange reason, but if some reason that Dennis Schroeder is traded and they move on from Dennis Schroeder, Trae Young will be a perfect fit there. Remember, Lloyd Pierce knows how to develop players. He did a great job developing the younger guys in Philadelphia, and the Hawks are committed to the young guys. So him and John Collins and Taurean Prince will be a nice nucleus going forward and starting if they decide to move on from Dennis Schroeder. The Memphis Grizzlies, I don't see them taking Trae Young at 4, only because of the fact that Mike Conley makes a lot of money. And to have 2 point guards on the roster doesn't fill the fact of Chandler Parsons' legs are not going to be the same ever again. It's not going to fill the fact of they don't have any scoring from the wings, and it's not going to solve the 2-guard situation either, or it's not going to solve the power forward problem. So the position of 2, 3, and 4 don't get filled with Trae Young. Now, you look at the Dallas Mavericks. They drafted Dennis Smith Jr. last year, and even though DSJ had a very, very solid rookie season, kind of the same thing as mentioned before with Mike Conley. You just can't put Dennis Smith Jr. and Trae Young in the same backcourt. It's just not going to work defensively. Like I said, Orlando is the perfect fit. Orlando still doesn't have a leading point guard. And the good thing with Trae Young is that, yes, the people want him to start day one. But remember, DJ Augustin and Shelvin Mack played some very good basketball down the second half of the season after Elfrid Payton was traded to Phoenix. And, until Trae Young is ready to take the reins over, you have an okay point guard situation for now. Like I said, Augustine and Mack are very solid. I mean, are they going to be the guys going forward? I don't think they would be, but they'll be a very, very good buffer time to allow Trae Young to really get developed in the NBA. Chicago, yes, he's working out for the Bulls. That's going to be an interesting situation with Chris Dunn. Maybe if they move Chris Dunn to the 2 and they don't have to worry about Zach LaVine, not sure. But the Bulls are an interesting fit, like I said, but Chris Dunn was really good in the second until he got hurt and was out for the rest of the season, was really starting to turn the corner in Chicago. And I really would love to see what Dunn and LaVine do when they're completely healthy, if they're both together this next season, because LaVine is a free agent in July. Let's look at the team number. The Knicks are at 9. Number 8 is Cleveland. Will he fit in Cleveland? Of course he'll fit in Cleveland. We've watched enough of George Hill and Jordan Clarkson basically brick shots from the perimeter all through the finals and all through the playoffs. George Hill has moments, but Jordan Clarkson still can't find his jump shot because Jordan Clarkson just hasn't had it since the trade. Since April, Clarkson hasn't done much, and Jose Calderon's not going to be the guy going forward. So really, George Hill's on a 1-year deal after that. So yeah, Trae Young will be a perfect fit in Cleveland. But we don't know what the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to do because guess what? LeBron James hasn't made any type of decision. But Trae did mention the fact that if he did speak to LeBron James throughout the season, hasn't spoken to him in the playoffs, and they've exchanged messages throughout time. So that's a possibility. The New York Knicks are a perfect fit for Trae Young because Frank Ntilikina looks like he's going to be the 2 guard over there. He can guard the point guards while Trae Young can basically hide on defense. Ntilikina is one of the better younger defenders. He's longer, still not learning how to score, but he can defend, and he has enough size to guard a lot of the shooting guards in the league, which allows Trae Young to basically get in New York, and him and Tim Hardaway Jr. would have a field day from behind the arc. Will he fit in Philadelphia? Yes, if he somehow slid all the way to Philadelphia at 10, yes, he fills the Sixers' need for shooting at the backcourt position. Can you imagine him and a healthy Markelle Fultz in the backcourt with LeBron James and Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, Dario Saric? Yes, that would be a perfect fit. JJ Redick is a free agent. I know JJ was very solid for them this year. I don't know what that number is going to be for him coming back, but if they decide to move on from him, he's a nice little fit there. Also, Marco Bellinelli is also a free agent. Like I said, the other point guard on the roster is TJ McConnell. TJ is a solid guy, but I think Trae Young has a little bit more on the upside than TJ as well, too. So, to give you guys a quick recap of what you just heard from myself tonight, Trae Young did work out in Orlando today. I didn't get a chance to see him personally do any of the drills with any of the coaches because it was a private workout. There was no other player working out with Trae Young. Like I said, Kevin Knox had his workout Tuesday. He did have other players in the workout with him, but in Trae's case, it was a private workout. Jeff Weltman and John Hammond had dinner with him on Wednesday. From the way the dinner came off, everything was good. He looked to be very confident. He was with Steve Clifford after the warm-up, the workout today. You also saw some of the Magic players, including Terrence Ross and Jonathan Isaac, there for the workout as well, too. I did see some pictures of them, chit-chatting and laughing after the workout. Like I said, my impression of Trae is he's a very, very confident kid. He will fit a lot of the needs that the Magic have currently because his head coach has coached an all-star who reminds me just like him. So, let me know what you think. Hit me up on the chat. Hit me up on Twitter at NBADT29. Follow the show on Facebook, which is Around the Association Radio. Follow the podcast on Spreaker and also iHeartRadio. We're coming to other platforms very, very soon. I will have podcasts and articles coming up as well, too. Check out my work on AroundTheAssociation.com as well as Florida National News. So, I'll check you guys out later on. I know I've been trying to get this Hawks podcast put up. I'm going to do it. I promise you guys. I still have another mock draft to do, which I'll do over the weekend. And at the same time, I will have other content coming up and a mailbag that will be coming up over the weekend. So, I'll see you guys later. Peace.